next speaker is the Movers Program Ambassador and representing Youth Organizing Committee of the Regional Dialogue. She is the force behind the 1,000 plus youth engaged in our events. So please make some noise, especially to our friends in Movers Program for Lameya Alam. Lameya, go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all feeling today? I'm Lameya from Bangladesh, one of the most beautiful countries in the world and also a flood-prone country. Today, I'm very grateful of UNDP for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of myself, the organizing committee of this regional dialogue, and most importantly, those of you who would find my stories and perspectives relatable. Against the backdrop of pandemic, I have been working my time online through the Movers program, a regional movement of volunteers who develop SDG awareness, entrepreneurial mindset, and 21st century skills by conducting localized training at a grassroots level. And now, as a mover ambassador, within the past 1 year, I have organized 26 workshops, trained more than 800 young people directly, and mentored 16 movers across Asia Pacific, indirectly trained more than 1,000 people. I turned my passion into actions against the climate crisis during this event. With my amazing team, Tahsin, Rafi, Sumaya, Maria, and Jasmine, we organized a week-long virtual event named Climate Action Week Against Climate Change. I met so many incredible youth climate activists, such as Aruz, a Pakistani climate activist, for the last 2 years. They all allowed me to relate more with the actions that we should take to fight this global crisis. Since my childhood, I have been living next to a slum in my locality. People there make their living by collecting plastics on the street and selling them. I have been volunteering my time to teach kids in this slum based on the school curriculum. On top of that, I also teach them how to upcycle plastic bottles they have collected and how to transform them into handicrafts, which they can sell in the market for extra income. And yet, I know when the flood comes, I won't be able to help them all. There are so many challenges prevailing now, and perhaps more in the future that we cannot foresee. Just like most of us did not anticipate this pandemic. And speaking of climate change, we have already begun to see an increase in natural disasters and variable weather patterns. And let me share some of my personal experiences with you. In 2004, when the city was flooded, my mom was pregnant. It was a time when she was about to deliver my younger sister. We ended up taking her to the hospital by boat. But comparatively, we were on the luckier side of spectrum. More than 800 people from my home village lost their home due to this flood. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future. Since I have dived into the world of young change makers and surrounded myself with young entrepreneurs, volunteers, and innovators, it's said that we are the last generation to stop climate change. But this generation includes not just young people like us, but also the generation that we look up to as role models. As a member of young generation, I saw that we accept and inherit the good, reject and toss away the bad. Let me share with you two stories from our movers community, our very own movers community, which affirm my belief in the power of young people. In China, Yu Xingpeng is coordinating with students from more than 10 universities through the campaign Up Marathon to encourage them to use stairs instead of lift. The campaign engaged more than 5,000 young people to take action. Then again, in India, Ibothoi, who lives in the rural area of Manipur, India, is very concerned about climate change. Since the global warming and flood affected crop production in his community, being an educator, he tried to revive and conserve the environment with the different perspectives through education. He actively educates and empowers his peers and other fellow youths and local community about the degradation of environment and climate change, and works with the community to improve mother nature at local level. Today, we are here with 700 delegates, 700 strong voices, passions, and will to make a change for our better future. With you being the bridge and setting the example for people around you. Tomorrow, we hope to have 2 million, 20 million, and even to 100 million people who will be aware of climate change and start their actions. We have many platforms that enable us to do that. On a more macro level, we have the Paris Agreement on climate change and the Sustainable Development Goals, definitely. And of course, our newly launched Youth Empowerment Climate Action Platform also we have. So just like what I said yesterday, fighting against climate change could be very lonely, especially when we are surrounded by people who don't understand us. Friends and family who don't know why we are putting time and energy into this. Through this 2 days dialogue, I realized we don't need to feel alone. We have each other here. On behalf of the Youth-led co-convening partners, Movers Program, 2030 Youth Force, and YOUNGO, I encourage you to join us, knowing that there is always a community where you have a sense of belonging. Last but not least, we talk about building trust in our dialogue these 2 days. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizing team of UNDP, especially to Savinda and Creep, who always stood up for young people, who always hold the ground for us, especially when we were organizing pre-event activities, and who has always put you, all the youth delegates, at the heart of this regional dialogue. So, on behalf of all the youth delegates, Savinda and Creep, I want to say thank you.
All right. So thank you so much to Lameya Alam, the Movers Program Ambassador and representing the Youth Organizing Committee of the Regional Dialogue. Let's give her a warm round of applause. I can see here in the chat box that everyone, especially from the Movers Program, are really proud of our representative. Once again, she's Lameya Alam. Thank you so much for inspiring all of the youth delegates here in the closing ceremony of the Regional Dialogue. Okay, so now, as she also mentioned, by the way, to be the bridge and to set a good example to all of our communities. Thank you so much, Lameya, for that words of wisdom.